Hey everyone, my name is Ashley. I am a certified personal trainer working on my master's degree in nutrition, and today I'm going to give you my top 5 tips to not only lose weight, but to keep it off in the new year. So if your New Year's resolution is to lose weight and 2019 just wasn't your year, here are 5 tips to get you started off on the right foot in 2020. So without further ado, let's get right into my top tip. I'm gonna argue that this first one is the most important one, and when I say it, you're gonna be like, oh, come on, we all know about that. So number 1 on my list of our 5 tips and tricks is having a good mindset that supports your weight loss goals. So number 1 most important thing in developing a good mindset is knowing why the heck are you trying to lose weight? So everybody has a different reason, and I'm gonna bring you through like a series of questions and kind of what I experience a lot. So I always ask, why do you wanna lose weight? And typically the answer is, I wanna look better. And then I like to dig a little bit deeper there. So why do you wanna look better? And the number 1 answer I get there is usually to gain confidence, which is good. That seems to be where people stop. They say, okay, I found my why. My why is to build confidence. But I think that in order to kind of give yourself a place to feel motivated and have a real significant reason to actually stick to your goals and stick to your habits and keep yourself going when times get hard, is to ask yourself why you don't feel confident now. And a couple of the big things that are good to think about are maybe a history with weight, or a sudden weight gain, or is it health related, or do you have a genetic predisposition to certain diseases that are related to obesity? So ultimately, finding that reason why you want to lose weight and not just allowing yourself to stop at that initial, I just want to look better in the mirror, or I want to look better in a bikini. Because although that's great, and when you lose weight, that's going to happen and you're going to get that result, it's not enough to keep you going when things start to get really hard, and things will get hard. And it's really important to have the mindset of progress over perfection. If you're chasing perfection and you're chasing trying to always be perfect and always eat perfect and always exercise every single day and all of the things that the internet is telling you that you have to do to lose weight, you're setting yourself up to fail. Because there are going to be days when you might not be in control of what you eat, and that can be scary. But the worst thing that you can do for yourself is put yourself in a position where you feel like you failed if you're not perfect or if you're not in control. Because all you're doing in that situation is setting yourself up to develop a really, really bad relationship with weight and food and exercise, and you're just not putting yourself in a good, healthy spot for success. So off of that same vein, there's one mindset that I think that everybody needs to just break up with. It's like the bad boyfriend of weight loss. And if you can just get rid of it right now, you're better for it. And then you meet your dream man. You meet the man of your dreams or the woman of your dreams, and everything's better. So our bad boyfriend of weight loss, this one's really important, is, well, got off track, so screw it. I guess I'll start over tomorrow. Absolutely not. So a better mindset to have here is, yeah, I got a little bit off track, so now what can I do to get myself back on track? And I like to think of this as like, you can veer off track or you can give up. Those are going to be the times where you're faced with a crossroads, where you can go this way or you can go this way. And one direction is, well, I'll start over tomorrow, I give up, I might as well not exercise, or I might as well just keep eating poorly today because I already failed. And that side is just giving up. And the other side is, yeah, I kind of took the wrong path, but like, what can I do to start turning a little bit back in the right direction? And the biggest difference between the two of these is if you choose this direction of giving up, tomorrow when you try to get back on track, it is going to be so much harder because you spent a lot of time in the mindset of, well, it is not worth it. And this is where you have to remember that you are worth it. And You can do it and you can be successful, but you have to believe that first, because nobody else can change your mindset but you. The last thing I want to talk about in mindset, and this one's also really, really important, is to recognize your wins along the way. I think a lot of times in weight loss, we're really fixated and focused on, I have to accomplish this and I have this left to do. It can become really easy to forget to recognize how far you've come. Just reminding yourself of all of the things that you've done well and all of the habits that you've changed, and even just how much your mindset has changed along the way, can help to keep you motivated and help give you the momentum you need to keep going. Something you can do here too is every time you feel like you've done something really good or you notice that you've made a really positive change in your life, write it down. Keep a book, keep a log, share it with your friends, put it on Instagram, whatever you have to do, but celebrate the heck out of it. Okay, tip number 2, and I'm sure you've all heard this one before, but it's a really, really important one, and I can't glaze over it because it really is in the top 5 most important things for successful weight loss. Set realistic goals. I'm not going to spend too much time on the acronym SMART because I'm sure you've all heard of it. SMART is the acronym that stands for specific, measurable, attainable, realistic, and timely. Something that you should really think about is, what is sustainable? What's my end goal, and what is a sustainable way to get there? If your ultimate overall goal is to lose 30 pounds, step 1 is to recognize that you're not gonna lose 30 pounds in a month. And if you do, chances are you're not doing it in a sustainable way that's going to be lasting or just supportive of good health. So healthy weight loss is typically anywhere between a half a pound to 2 pounds in a week. And a lot of times the variation in that has to do with what your starting weight is and how much of a calorie deficit you're going, how much you're exercising. I don't want to get too much into any of that in this video, but just making sure you're setting a goal that doesn't require you to have such a low energy intake or doesn't require you to have to exercise so much that you're no longer living a life that's sustainable. Because the way that we should be thinking about weight loss and developing a healthy lifestyle is thinking about changing your habits and adopting things that you can keep forever. Because I think one of the biggest places most people fail when losing weight is they take on this new lifestyle for a short period of time, and once they've lost X amount of weight or achieved whatever goal they set, they go back to their normal routine, and then that's where we lose the sustainability of weight loss, and that's when we gain the weight and we cycle back and we have trouble keeping it off. So make sure that you're making changes that fit into your lifestyle. So one thing that I talk to my clients about all the time is, if you like eating cookies, a sustainable lifestyle for you and sustainable changes for you should include some cookies. Because if you cut out the cookies altogether, 1, that's gonna lead to deprivation and possibly just eating a lot of cookies in the end anyway. And 2, you're not gonna be happy. And you shouldn't feel like weight loss and happiness have to go against each other, because they don't. So make sure you're setting goals that are conducive to the lifestyle you want to live. And sometimes that means that it might take you longer to lose weight. But again, if your goal is to lose weight and keep it off for good, that's okay. Take the time to do it correctly. Okay, on to tip number 3. This one is unprocess your diet. And the most obvious little portion of unprocessing your diet is to ditch processed sugar. But remember, but don't tell anyone else, you can eat the cookie. Cutting down on processed sugar is the most obvious way to unprocess your diet, but I wanted to take a second to talk about what processed food really is. Processed foods essentially just mean that they're foods that were taken from their natural state and have undergone chemical processes or have been just changed and altered in a way that they are no longer resembling their original state. So the best example I have, and the most obvious example here, is a potato chip versus a potato. So a potato comes out of the ground and it's natural and it grows from the earth, and a potato chip has been processed and fried and cooked and seasoned and salted and all of those lovely things to become a potato chip. So Though it started as something fresh and good and nutrient dense, it has been turned into something that's relatively void of nutrients and just full of things that are not supportive of good health. So the best way to think about this is eating foods that are as close to the source as you can. And a nice tip I have here for this one is to shop on the outskirts of your grocery store. So a lot of times the fresh foods and the foods that are in refrigerators are on the outside of the grocery store, and the more packaged goods are on the inside. So spend most of your time grocery shopping on the outskirts, and then as little time as you can on the inskirts. Is inskirts a word? But again, everything in moderation, because if there's something you really love, like I really love pasta and it's not something I'll ever give up, if it's something you really love, if you cut it out, you're gonna feel deprived, you're gonna feel like you can't be successful. Some of the really good reasons that unprocessing your diet is important for weight loss is that these foods are going to help you feel better, help your body function better, and just really overall support good health, which is really important along a weight loss journey because you're asking your body to make a change. And our bodies are creatures of habit. We adapt. Your body is built to adapt. So your body does not want to change. It's going to do everything it can to resist change. So sometimes weight loss might make you feel not so good. So making sure you're eating those unprocessed foods, fruits, veggies, all of those really good things to support overall health is especially important along your weight loss journey. Another reason why unprocessed foods are really good is because they are more satisfying. I am gonna go back to my potato chip versus potato example on this one. And so I'm gonna start with the potato chip. I've got a nutrition label up here, so I'm gonna look at that really quick. 1 serving of potato chips, 1 ounce serving, 28 grams, which is about 15 potato chips, has 160 calories, 10 grams of fat, 15 grams of carbohydrates, and 2 grams of protein. And then looking at a regular potato, so just normal, straight up potato, 1 serving size of a potato, which is now 148 grams, is 110 calories and 0 grams of fat, 26 grams of carbohydrates, and 3 grams of protein. So thinking about just the density that we get to eat, so our 148 grams versus our 28 grams, you're gonna get much more full off of 148 grams of a potato while also getting some really good nutrients in the potato versus the potato chip. So that's just a really basic example. But eating foods that are coming closest to their source, so if the food is originally picked out of the ground and plucked from the earth, eating it as close to that version of the food as you can is going to be best. And I feel like it's important to touch on frozen foods here because I know that sometimes fresh foods are not always available, especially if you're experiencing a winter season like I am here in Philadelphia. So frozen foods are okay too because normally they're actually picked and frozen at the point where they are most nutrient dense. So frozen foods can be a really good alternative to a fresh food if that is your only option. And sometimes they're actually on sale and a little bit cheaper, which is a nice bonus. And the last point I want to make here in the unprocessing your diet tip is to make sure you're enjoying your food. If you feel like you're eating a diet that's filled with foods that are way out of your comfort zone, take some time to start shifting your palate. So don't feel like you have to wake up and all of a sudden, because now it's January 1st, 2020, I have to only eat green foods and salads and yada yada yada. Play around with seasonings, pick spices that you like, get creative in the kitchen, try new recipes, really take some time to engage with the process and make it a little bit fun. And along that same idea is to try to be mindful around food. And mindful eating is kind of a really big topic. I don't want to make this video any longer than it's already going to be, so maybe I'll make a whole video on mindful eating. But taking some time to really enjoy your food. So beyond the flavor and everything else, like if you're cooking yourself a really delicious meal, take the time to enjoy that. So a couple ways that you can approach that are to eat without your electronics, try to step away from your desk at work to eat your food, and that's really beneficial for a couple of reasons. One, because you actually get to taste the food and recognize how delicious it is, and 2, it gives you a better opportunity to listen to your body and recognize what your body feels like when you're hungry and full. So take some time to really eat your meal, enjoy it, maybe hang out with a loved one or a friend, and listen to your body along the way. How does your body feel when you eat that particular food? How does your body feel with the amount that you're eating? Really just give yourself the chance to check in with yourself and eat until you're full and not over full, but make sure you're satisfying your body. On to number 4. This is kind of something that I think as a society, maybe our perception is shifting around this for the better. Number 4 is pick an exercise program that you enjoy. Much like yo-yo dieting and crazy weight loss programs, if you're picking an exercise program that you don't enjoy, you're not gonna stick to it. So if that means exercise right now to you is spending 10 to 15 minutes dancing around your room to your favorite song, then that's where you're gonna start, because that is movement that you're gonna do and you're gonna enjoy, and then later on, build on it. Go join like a dance class, go join like a Zumba class or something along those lines. And I also wanna distinguish what exercise means. I think we have this like overly formal view of what exercise needs to be, and that you have to go to the gym, you have to have a gym membership, you have to spend an hour doing it, and all of these rules that we place on exercise that make it really hard to achieve. If you're just getting started exercising, a couple of ways to get yourself into the groove or maybe just introduce yourself to exercising. Number 1, if you can afford it and it's in the budget, a really good way to start just to make sure you're doing things correctly is to hire a coach or a trainer. So a coach or a trainer is going to put together a program for you, make sure you're doing things correctly so that you're not getting hurt, but you're actually learning things in the process. So those are things that you can take and ultimately duplicate on your own. Another good thing if a personal trainer or a coach is out of your budget is to join fitness classes, because those have instructors as well. Although you're not getting quite as much attention as you would be with a coach, it's a good way to start learning exercises and starting to kind of build your own little exercise library within your head that you can use to start creating your own workouts or just getting motivation. And sometimes just the energy of group fitness classes can be really exciting and keep you coming back for more. And another misconception that we have in society, and again, I think this one's starting to go away, thankfully, is that you have to exercise all the time to be successful. And that is one of the biggest misconceptions that you could ever adopt into your life, because your body needs some time to rest. And when we're resting, that's when our body's doing all of the work to start utilizing all of the good things we're giving it. So resting, fueling your body, and making sure that you're replenishing all of the things that you're losing when you're exercising. So just simply thinking about lifting weights. So if you're lifting weights, you're tearing at your muscles, and that tearing of the muscle is what allows them to repair and build and grow and get stronger and all of the good stuff that we're trying to do when we're working out. But if we're not taking time to rest and we're continuously tearing and tearing and tearing, that's where we are putting ourselves at risk for injury, because we're never giving ourselves the chance to recuperate. If we're over-exercising, a lot of times that has a really detrimental impact on our immune system, and especially in this winter season here, we want to make sure that our immune system is as strong as we can get it so that we avoid all of the terrible colds and don't get the flu. And then 2 really big points that I want to bring up, because I would feel like I was neglecting some important stuff if I didn't bring them up. And I'm sure you've heard this before, but I cannot stress it enough. You cannot out-exercise a bad diet. And I think people kind of misconstrue this idea as, if I eat X, which I'm gonna stick with the cookie. If I eat a cookie, I have to exercise to make up for the fact that I ate that cookie. And again, coming back to that sustainable lifestyle bit, if you are constantly telling yourself that if you eat a food that maybe isn't as nutrient dense, then you have to exercise to make up for it, you're just setting yourself up for failure in terms of creating a really healthy relationship with food in your body and exercise. That brings me to my next point, not using exercise as a punishment for eating poorly. A quote that I like to share with a lot of my clients is, you are what you repeatedly do. So having one bad day or one bad meal or maybe you plan to go to the gym and you didn't today, that's not going to make it so that you're not successful in the end. And so remembering that the things that you do most are the most important. So occasionally having a cookie or occasionally deciding like, I'm too tired to go to the gym today, so I'm going to take a nap instead is fine. And sometimes your body needs those days, and sometimes your happiness needs a cookie, and that's okay because we're trying to create a sustainable lifestyle and we're not following a fad diet. So my point on a sustainable lifestyle brings me to number 5, which is focus on your health as a whole. It's really important to make sure that when you're on a weight loss journey that you're not just hyper focused on the number on the scale, because there are so many factors that are going to play into the number on the scale that are impacted by so much more than just diet and exercise. So making sure that you're taking care of your body as a whole through sleep, hydration, stress management, and those are the really, really big players in this equation. So I'm sure you've all heard it before that you should be getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep, and I don't want to sit here and lecture you like your mother, but sleep is really important. And as I was talking about before, your body needs some time to repair. So our body, while we're asleep, it digests, our brain gets a chance to rest, and your body just kind of resets itself, and it spends its energy on all of the things that it's not spending when we're awake, because when we're awake, when I'm moving my arms around here, my body is spending energy doing that. When we're asleep, our body gets to spend all of its energy on lots of different really cool mechanisms that your body needs to function properly. Another really good point here is to stay very well hydrated, and my rule of thumb here is to take your body weight. So let's say you weigh 200 pounds and divide it by 2, so that's 100, and try to drink that many ounces of water every day. And that's really just a baseline. So if you're gonna exercise and sweat a lot, try to add a little bit more. I like to say about 12 ounces every hour of exercise, depending on how much you're sweating, but make sure you're giving your body hydration. And the last one in this one is to manage your stress, which that again is just a very big, broad topic in itself, but just finding some of the things that work for you. Make sure that weight loss is not adding extra stress. So find the habits that you need to work on most and start there. So take everything one step at a time so that it doesn't feel like it's impossible, because I promise you it's not. And also just recognizing the things that make you feel less stressed. So the activities and the priorities that help you to manage your stress. And I know that there are some things that you're gonna be like, well, Ashley, I can't just quit my job, and my job is what causes me stress. And I get that. And I get that you're not just gonna remove every single stressor in your life, and that's okay. But if you feel overly stressed, trying to maybe add in activities or exercises or whatever it is that helps you to feel a little bit more relaxed. Whatever it is for you, find that thing and make sure you're making the time to actually do it. So friends, that is all I have for you today. I hope these tips were helpful for you. And again, remember that progress over perfection is what we're looking for. So you want to make sure you're doing things that are helping you to create a new healthy lifestyle that you can keep forever. And that is the key to sustainable weight loss. No fad diets, no crazy workout programs, just finding things that you genuinely enjoy and just making small changes and adjustments that over the long haul are going to change your health and your body. Have a happy and healthy new year. Let's make 2020 the year that you finally lose the weight and keep it off for good. Bye!